I hope you guys like my shirt. Thanks, Officer Tatum. I want to talk to y'all about something real quick. Alright. I was at the grocery store this morning, and there's a woman in front of me with 2 carts full of food. Just full of food, right? And I don't like to assume stuff, but I'm just thinking, I know she's using Link or Wick or food stamps or EBT or something. I said she ain't buying all that food with her own money, but I didn't want to say anything. Anyway, the cashier checks her out. And you know how there's a monitor like up above so you can see what all you're purchasing, the prices. Well, at the very bottom, like right by the total, it said EBT blah blah blah. So I'm just thinking, yep, I was right. So I said to this woman, I'm like, big spender. And she didn't say a word to me. She just acted like I didn't say a word. Anyway, she gets her food and she leaves. But I'm just thinking, ain't that something? Like, these people are eating better than what we're eating. So I'm in a group chat with my brother, my sister, and my parents. And I mentioned that. And my mom jumps in and says, Greg, when you guys were growing up, me and your dad, we had, I think she said EBT or food stamps, which is the same thing, like briefly at one point in time. And then her mom did it as well, she said, like briefly. And then she's making up all these excuses for these people, like, well, you don't know these people's situation, and some people might lose their job. This is so people can get back on their feet and all this stuff, right? Be that as it may, I'm looking at the other side of that coin, and she could be right. You're right. I don't know these people's situation, Mom. However, had that woman made better decisions when she was younger, because she was only like probably close to my age, 20s, 30s. Had she made better decisions when she was younger, would she have been in that situation to where she needed $500 worth of food using government assistance? That's my whole thing. Had she got married before having, and I don't know how many kids she had, there's no kids with her, but clearly you got kids. You're buying 2 carts full of food. Had she got married before having all them kids, would she be better off or worse off? And if you got that much money for food, that means this ain't just for one kid. This ain't just for 2 kids. So that's why I think people like her, they're kind of playing the system. Because you ain't gonna have that much food for just 1 or 2 kids. You're probably on your 5th kid. And my point was, like I said, these people are eating better than what we're eating. I was just getting a couple of items, right? And I'm just thinking, wow, that's just crazy. Like, I can't even fathom buying $500 worth of food. And then I mentioned, that's probably why she didn't speak to me, because she was probably embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? But what do y'all think about that? Like, I think personally, I think there's people who live off government assistance, and I don't think that's good at all. I think it turns you into a slave because you're dependent on it. Like, there's people out there who that's all they know. They had it when they were little kids. They had it as teenagers growing up. And then they have these kids when they're still kids, by the way, babies having babies. That happens. And then they just continue to live that lifestyle of, I'm going to get government assistance. And And one thing my mom had mentioned was these people work, they just don't make enough. And be that as it may, I mean, just think about that. She's saying they still work, but they don't make enough. But I work so much, it's like I don't see half the money. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let's just say the federal government takes a lot out of my checks. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't make enough money at your job, get a different job or get a second job. You can always climb the ranks. You can always move up the ladder. So I don't want to hear no excuses. But like I said, these people are so hooked on it. They use it as a crutch. That's all they know. It's kind of like when a kid grows up having two parents in the home. To that kid, it's just normal to have that. Whereas a kid who only has one parent in the home, to that kid, that's normal to have that. Same thing with this government assistance. That's all he or she knows. That's the problem. And I don't think it makes people better. I think it makes them worse. Because my whole thing is, even if you lose your job, you still have unemployment, which is still government assistance, but it's not food stamps, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe unemployment ties into that. Well, I guess it would, because they're still giving you money to not be working. So I guess it's all part of the same thing. My whole thing is it's messed up. And you can't say, well, just because other people were on it in the past, or just because you know people who were on it, that's okay for people to be on it now. Like, my whole philosophy is I work so hard, and I talked about this in some of my prior videos. I work so hard that I make it impossible for them to fire me. And if they do fire me, it's to the point where they made a mistake by losing me. Or if I quit, they're going to miss me. It's their loss more so than my loss. That's how valuable I make myself. But I noticed people my age and younger, the millennials and the Gen Zs, these people are lazy, son. Like, especially people, I would say 30 and younger, between 16 and 30, between 16 and 28, there's some lazy sobs out there. Like, there's people who don't want to work. Like, there's jobs everywhere. You know what I'm saying? There are jobs out here, and they will hire you. Like, McDonald's will hire you on the spot. McDonald's will even give you a gift card, a $20 gift card, just for turning in the application. So you can't tell me there ain't no jobs out here. There's jobs out here. Oh, they're out there. But my generation just doesn't have any drive. Zero drive. And this is a different topic, but everybody feels so entitled to have stuff. Like, what makes you think you're entitled to have anything? Like, at my job, there's blood, sweat, and tears. I ain't gonna tell y'all what I do, because I don't want to dox myself. But what makes you think you're so entitled to where you should just have stuff in your pocket and not work for it? If you work for it, that's cool. If you feel like you worked for it and you didn't get it, you feel like you're treated unfairly, then you should probably move on to a different job. But the world ain't fair. This world is not fair at all. But actually, that's not true. In America, it is fair, because you can get paid to not work. But check it out. There's two ways to make a slave. You can either work and not get paid, or do the opposite. That's when you don't work and you still get paid. And that's what being a slave is today in America. I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know what y'all think about this. Peace.